Good evening and welcome to the 2024 Shakopee City Council Candidates Forum, sponsored by the Shakopee Chamber and Visitors Bureau. We are gathered tonight at Shakopee High School. My name is John Anderson. I'm a media consultant for my business, John Anderson Communications. I spent 37 years in TV news as an anchor, reporter, writer, and producer. I will be serving as the moderator of tonight's debate. All of the candidates for Shakopee City Council were invited to participate. We thank you all for being here. With us tonight, we have Councilmember Jesse Lara, Michael Luce, Ken Ludzak, Carter McNew, Mustafa Sandhu, Jeffrey Shafland, Councilmember Jay Whiting, and Ryan Whitrenis. Candidates have already recorded video interviews to introduce themselves to the community, and you can see those. We've got them all online for you. So the candidates will not be making opening statements this evening, but we do encourage you to check out those videos. A little bit about the rules. Tonight, candidates will be asked a series of questions. They have 60 seconds to respond to each question, unless we note otherwise. Candidates participating in tonight's forum have been given the option to use a device for closed captioning purposes only. Additionally, they have an option to receive a printed handout of each question as it is read aloud. This accommodation ensures full participation and understanding throughout the forum. Candidates, should we begin?
Let's do it.
We're going to start here tonight. Question number one, and we're going to start with Councilmember Lara. What skills and experience would you bring to City Council?
The skills and experience that I would bring to the Shakopee City Council would be the past about 15 months of council work, and then also a couple years on the planning board and the boards of appeals with Shakopee. And then I've been a resident with Shakopee here for about 16 years now.
Okay. Next we have Michael Luce.
Same question, correct?
Yep.
What I bring is 5 years of previous experience in this realm, and I also have multiple years in business experience owning my own business, and successful business, I may add. I understand budgeting and bidding, so I understand that process that the city does. And you know, like I said, I've got 6 years experience in this, so you know, what else can I say? Been here, done that.
Okay. Next, it is Ken.
Thank you. I would say I've had about 30 years of professional experience in a wide variety of roles: ownership, management, individual contributor in leadership roles, and as well as in a voluntary capacity. I've served on boards, church boards, different organizations. Where I've been in leadership, again, familiar with budgeting, familiar with how a good organization runs, familiar with leading people, and I think that would be valuable in this role.
Carter.
Hi, the things that I'd be bringing to this role is, as my profession, I'm a mechanical engineer, so I'd be bringing a mechanical engineering mindset. The type of work I do is in the medical device field, so I'm no stranger to government oversight when it comes to FDA regulations. Before I was in my career at Iowa State, I had extensive experience when it came to student government activities, won awards for lifetime achievement, specifically with the Residence Hall Association. So I am no stranger to government. Actually, I think student government maybe have been a little bit more cutthroat than city politics, or at least that's my hope. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Mustafa, same question.
Well, thank you. Well, as my professional experience, I spent the last 13 years working as an operations manager in various industries and on a managerial role. But the most important skill which I think is required, I'm humbled to say that I do have the ability to serve as a public servant, and I do have the ability to adapt and being flexible and work with the community. That's what really exceed, and I think that's the expertise I have to serve this community, and that's what I'm running for now. So that will be my answer.
Okay. Jeffrey.
Thank you. Growing up, when I was in high school, I was an Eagle Scout, so that kind of started off my leadership career, if you will. After graduating high school, I joined the United States Marine Corps, and I was a non-commissioned officer, so I held leadership roles there. I have been on boards of various service organizations and fraternal organizations. Currently, I'm a manager in my current position as an information services employee at a financial institution.
Thank you. Councilmember Whiting.
Thank you. My name is Jay Whiting. Current vice mayor. I've been on the city council for going on 13 years now. I've been the chair of the Shakopee Heritage Society, the chair of the Scott County Historical Society. I was chair of the Scott County Association for Leadership and Efficiency, and president of my church council. That's a difficult political role, believe me. Currently, I'm a compliance and enterprise safety specialist, doing compliance and safety for medical device and other food packaging. We also currently 40 years in the printing industry and been working for your council and over a decade of keeping your taxes low. Again, my name is Jay Whiting.
And Ryan.
My name is Ryan Etrinus. I've lived in Shakopee since 1998. The reasons I think I would be one of the best candidates, I've worked for several private companies with multi-million-dollar budgets, helped set those budgets, purchase equipment, hire and train employees over those years. I've also worked for the city of Shakopee for over 23 years, a little over 10 of that full-time, so I've learned a lot of the inner workings of what goes on in the city and what's needed in the city. I've worked with several of the employees of the city that we would be working with as council members, so I know kind of their thoughts, what's needed, and how to work with them to come to an agreement on some sort of whatever the topic is. And I think we could get that done working through the city's budgets. And most of the positions that I've held in my career have been some sort of management or leadership. So I think I've proven that over the years. And again, I've worked here or lived here since 1998, raised a family, been part of the schools, and I would appreciate your support.
Thank you all. Question number 2. We're going to start with you, Ken, on this one, and then go down the order. What is the most important issue facing Shakopee right now?
I would say the Shakopee is growing. We're growing rapidly. We're growing, I think, fairly well. My biggest concern, and what I would say the most important issue is how we're going to manage that growth going forward, what kind of city Shakopee is going to become, what kind of city Shakopee is going to be in future generations. I think one of the things I mentioned in the candidate video was that the Met Council is saying Shakopee is going to cap out at about 68,000 people. We're at about 46,000 roughly now. So we're approaching that, but we're not there yet. It's going to come faster than we think. I think we need to be planning, managing for growth for the future wisely today, and that's what I'd like to be a part of.
Carter.
Hi, yeah, I think you're probably going to hear a lot of similar talking points on this issue. The growth has been something that's at least concerning to me. Looking at the upcoming growth for Shakopee, it seems like we're at risk at outgrowing some of our services as well as our infrastructure if we're not careful. The growth that we have can also create living expenses to grow at a higher rate for current residents, and making sure that we continue to have Shakopee as great of a city as it is currently, we maintain that, because if we grow too fast, we might outgrow the clothing that we're already wearing. So thank you.
Thank you. Mustafa.
Well, I will say I do realize there is a little bit like disconnection between the community and the city council at this point. I will say especially the communication piece and the transparency, where I see we can improve really well. Not having the ability of newspaper, it did cause a little bit into it. So if we can build that trust again with the community and have the community input more versus just making decisions on behalf of community, I think that would be really great, and that's what I'm really looking forward to it, and that's going to be my top priority walking into the office. The other oh, sorry. I thought he wanted me to stop. So, sorry. I think I'm good for now. Thank you.
Okay. Jeffrey.
Thanks. I'm going to go also with growth, but I'm going to prepend that with responsible growth. I believe that we need to plan for the future and make sure we're taking the responsible steps to where we'll be able to keep our low tax base while still providing the same quality services that the city currently provides.
Thank you. Councilmember Whiting.
Thank you. Our most important concern going forward is our public safety. Our fire department, and I quote, was missing, weak, or not in compliance with state regulations. It had a management culture that exemplified ad hoc decisions and favoritism with no quality assurance, not in conformance with recognized practices. We don't have the volunteers like we used to, unfortunately, and so we have to grow a fire department that's not the good old boy club anymore. It's a professional fire department, and it's gonna grow over time. And we did the work with our police. We paid, and that's what it was. We paid up because our police force deserve it. The past few years have been very difficult on police, so we definitely made sure we took care of them. Now it's time to work on our fire department. Thank you.
Ryan.
I kind of ring the same bell. I would say growth, as long as we're doing growth reasonable and responsible, making sure that all of our city services can support the growth. Growth is a good thing because I think it will help us keep our taxes low, but with growth, new taxes coming in, the schools need to increase, property taxes go up, and I think any of us will attest that we're getting taxed on 3 or 4 different levels between our schools and our property taxes going up. We don't want our city taxes to go up as well. So I think if we can manage that growth, do it affordably and responsibly, it should help keep those taxes down. And hopefully we can manage some of our school and our counties to keep our property taxes at a level we can afford.
Councilmember Lara.
Thank you. To me, what's being presented to me, what the biggest issue is in Shakopee is, I would have to say, transparency. And I think what that means is people want to have the why explained to them. Why are you building that? Why are you improving that? What's going on with this road? If they don't understand why their money is being spent that way, there's a lot of confusion and speculation that's made, and then there's misinformation that can be shared amongst the community. It was touched on earlier that there is a lack of newspaper and public sources, but I will touch on that our award-winning communications department at the city does a fantastic job using multiple outlets, Facebook, newsletters in the mail, to really communicate with those citizens. I also host, try to do monthly community connections with folks that want to come out and meet and talk, and you're always welcome to email as well.
Okay. And Michael, your turn.
I believe the city needs to manage the growth that we're experiencing. They need to slow it down and take a better look at it, I believe. I think it's way too fast. And they need to make sure that other cities, which it's hard to make sure they do it, but we can slow our growth of low-income housing by forcing the other ones to take their fair share. It's mandated that everybody's supposed to have a certain amount. It's not all going to go to one city. That's a problem when that happens. Too much in one city can lead to all kinds of negative things, and crime, everything else. And I'm not blaming the low-income people. It just seems to be something that follows along with that. As a few other people have mentioned, I think the fire department in town here needs some revamping. I think they need to look at some new ways of structuring their people. I've heard from other cities, talking to fire departments there, that they have different setups for their on-call people. They aren't using, I gotta stop.
Thank you. You'll notice there's a random order tonight of these questions, and that's how we're doing this. Question number 3, we're going to start with Mustafa on this one. Are there any areas where you believe the city should increase or decrease spending?
I will say a lot of areas, actually. So this is one of the favorite topic anyways. My background in finance and accounting, and I have a master's degree in economics as well. And being a vice chair of planning commission, I see how things is being shaped. Again, growth should pay itself, right? So if we gonna not being, I was listening Big Bird, he said it really right. We need to spend responsibly, right? If it's my money, I wouldn't be spending the same way. It's just because we just don't think about it because it's a public money, so we have the right to like spend the way we want it. I think we should be making a conscious decision where we're spending and how it's gonna impact the community. Or do we have the community input into it? Is that where community want it to be spent? Or how we can do better? What we really need in the community at this point versus what we think community need.
Okay. Jeffrey.
I'm going to have to say public safety. With so many issues with mental health and then the fentanyl and heroin pandemic that's really sweeping across the U.S. and we're really seeing it in Minnesota as well. I think, if anything, I guess I'd like to see another mental health specialist and maybe some more, law enforcement officers that kind of specialize in that for sort of a field.
Okay. Jay.
Thank you. We've done a lot of work making our budget right. We don't overspend in places, and we try not to underspend in places, and we try and create projects that are going to grow and make our city better. Public safety is a great place to put our investment. There are so many opportunities there, and you hit on some great points with mental health concerns. We are looking at some of those options. But we've done years of planning, years of capital improvement plans and budgets. We know how much we want to spend for 5, 10, and 15 years out. Now, we're only really concerned about next year. And taxes are the only thing that you don't get an option on whether you're going to pay. We're going to take your taxes, whatever we decide. So that's an important responsibility. We need to do what's right with that money, and we do every time.
Ryan.
I would say public safety, as a few people have mentioned, the fire department, it's got a pretty serious reworking there. I think they've made great strides. I think there's more that can be done. If we can invest into that further, is a good thing for our city. Also on our law enforcement, we do seem to be losing a fair amount of law enforcement officers to other cities. Those are for some various reasons. Some of them that I've heard is for money or more opportunities, more programs. So if we can invest some money into that, try to keep our law enforcement and our public safety people here for a long time. We want them to be, long-term employees so they know the workings of our city in and out, know the streets in and out. Decrease, I don't really have much there other than I have had some people say to me, it seems like we spend a lot of money on corporate support, trying to bring in big business. I think it seems that way when you watch a city council meeting. I don't necessarily know that the city is spending a lot of money there, but would dig into that a little further.
Okay. Jesse.
Thank you. Areas for improvement, I think it's been common, is public safety. The reason why I say that is with our upcoming attractions that are going to be built here, there's going to be a larger need for police officers. But however, we do need to come up with alternative methods on how to fund those extra officers, whether we are doing ticket fees on the venues or working with our legislators at the state on what we can do to implement, so we're not just focusing here on Shakopee taxpayers. You will see crime statistics showing that the arrests that happen in town are from outsiders and not necessarily in Shakopee, so I think that's why it's important to look at those different tax alternatives. The police officers are not leaving for pay. We actually just completed police union wage increases just this past year. It's due to retirement, and that's our hole that we are filling right now.
Okay. Michael.
Okay. I'm happy to see that the city's redoing a lot of the sidewalks and curbs around town that have been defective for years. It makes it a lot easier for anybody walking or biking, especially with the handicap curb cuts that make it easier for people in wheelchairs or walkers to access the sidewalks. They don't have to treacherously climb over a curbing. And let's see. I'm glad to see that the PD is doing a pretty good job, but I really have to ask a question of why they drove out one of our homegrown officers that grew up here. He's been working here for many years, and they just made it so tough he had to leave. It just was ridiculous. I don't know what's going on there, but if elected, I'm sure going to look into it. I believe that more should be done for the special needs, if you want to call it that. I think that's the proper term. Being that I have a hearing deficit now with the age, I'm more apparent with what goes on with that area.
Okay. Ken?
Increase, decrease spending, kind of loaded questions. But what I would say, people have mentioned public safety. I would definitely say the police force, it's both need and market driven. It's a very competitive market to recruit police officers. Shakopee's growing. Shakopee's going to continue to grow. As Jesse mentioned, there's a number of current entertainment venues in Shakopee, and there's going to be one more starting next year. We're going to need to serve that. So we are going to need to increase spending, offsetting that cost by having the venues pay for some of it is something that I would look to try to put in place, or look to try to see if we can do something there. From a decrease standpoint, it's easy to say wherever you can find waste. I would say there's probably things we can do more efficiently, like most cities, and that's what I would be looking out for.
Okay. Carter?
I'm probably going to be parroting a lot of similar talking points that have already been talked about. The our firefighter force has been in pretty rough shape. They do have a pretty clear path in order to improvement right now. I have really strong belief that Chief Nelson is going to be able to get everything put together for them. Ideally, we would like to get Station 2 up online at some point, but currently things seem to be moving in a pretty good direction. The thing that I'm probably more concerned about is our police force. As people talked about, we're approaching a retirement cliff that is going to be pretty devastating. Not only is it here in Shakopee, but it's all of our surrounding cities. So not only are we going to be competing against other cities around us, we're losing a huge amount of our force. And like what was brought up before, there are alternative options for actually funding that, like with a ticket tax, which would be like a subsidized property tax, lowering property taxes for Shakopee residents.
Okay. We're going to move on now to question number 4, and Councilmember Whiting, you will begin with this one. What are your long-term goals regarding business and economic development in Shakopee?
Oh, great. Let's start with the Innovation Hub. We talked a little bit about the entrepreneurs, which is a group that's kind of starting and getting some traction and growing, and recently just won an award for their project that they're working on. Our Innovation Hub will be an opportunity for that post-secondary training for things like businesses to come in and utilize for training. I'm in the safety training business myself. That kind of training could get done there. We have a lot of things in our toolbox for economic development, and a lot of talk around TIF, which are very, very few projects, and we have a lot of great projects that come out of that. We're actually, infrastructure is built through economic development, and if you look at our downtown right now, as far as economic development, I think we're thriving down there now. So that's a great question. Long-term goals, we're on the right track.
Ryan?
Can you reread that question again?
I sure can. What are your long-term goals regarding business and economic development in Shakopee?
Okay. Long-term goals, the city's got in a very good spot right now. They're bringing in the Innovation Hub and a few other things that Councilor Whiting had mentioned. I think there's great support there. Our staff is doing an excellent job bringing in some of those businesses. I think if we're building a great city, if we can keep maintaining our roads, I will hands down say that Shakopee streets and highways are the best in the county. I think it'll keep drawing in those businesses, keep bringing in, coming in off 169, these industrial businesses want to move here. I think if we can keep focusing on that, keep our infrastructure good, keep working with our utilities, to keep up our streets and water system and all that, I think it'll bring in that business on its own. So I'd want to support those things. As we move and we expand into the townships, I have talked with some of the township businesses. I think we have some work to do there before we, start taking over more land to soften up some of that approach. There are obviously businesses and people out there that don't want to be annexed, but
Time.
it's part of the growth.
Thank you. Jesse.
Thank you. Businesses want to be here. Our parks and recreation and our vibrancy are a draw to worldwide companies. There are things in the works that people are looking to fill our commercial property. The hub I would like to see progress. I know that was talked about in earlier interviews. That's really going to help drive alternatives to post-secondary education. It's going to help drive entrepreneurship, and it's going to be really a nice central hub, hence the name, to help grow businesses. I'm the liaison for the downtown Shakopee, and I just talking with the different business owners, they want to be here, and we want to invest in them.
Okay. Michael, same question.
All right. I believe the city needs to control the growth. I think the expansion has been a little out of hand, and they need to stop paying companies to come here with tax incentives and other things. Companies who relocate here, they should want to come for the workforce and everything else that we have. We have a great workforce, and we've got a negative deal here with Shutterfly. They've got tax incentives and handouts for years. They're leaving anyway now that the handouts are leaving. So that stuff's got to stop. And then that's all I can say is just stop giving the handouts. These companies are going to come or they're not going to come. They keep jumping ship and going wherever there's money.
Okay. Ken.
I would say my long-term goal for business growth in general is that the businesses that come into Shakopee pay for themselves through the value of the business they're bringing in, the jobs, the name, whatever it is they're bringing to Shakopee equals what we're laying out as taxpayers to bring that business in, if we're in fact doing that. And then, but from a specific standpoint, a couple things I would like to see Shakopee maybe be a little more aggressive on is as large corporations decentralize corporate campus for maybe you're thinking of a Microsoft, if they want to come to town, I'll listen, but probably more realistically in Minnesota, a Cargill or a Target or a UHC having a corporate campus in Shakopee that made sense for us as a community and them as a company. I think we have a lot to offer for companies like that to have something like that in Shakopee. Thank you.
Okay. Carter.
One of the reasons why Shakopee weathered the storm through COVID so much better than a lot of other cities is because of the diverse base of different types of businesses between corporate, manufacturing, all sorts of different businesses in the city. So with anything, it's like balance. So I might be a little hesitant when it comes to large corporations coming into the city, but as was brought up before, Shutterfly shut down. I believe we have a bigger company coming in that building now, which is great. But the identity of Shakopee is small businesses. When people think of Shakopee, they think of our small businesses and likely Valley Fair and Canterbury Park. So I think it's important to support small businesses and local businesses as much as possible because it's part of our identity as Shakopee. And that creates that sustained growth that I had brought up before. Thank you.
Mustafa.
I will start with saying that small businesses are backbone of our economy. That's factual. My goal should be provide resources and tools to those businesses so they can perform better, they can thrive in the community. Also empower Chamber of Commerce and other resources available to build a liaison between different resources and the small businesses as well as the large businesses, create a friendly environment for both as well as small and large businesses to creating a friendly, welcoming environment for those. Definitely, industry does help us to offset the tax burden on the residents. So we have to have more options so we can offset that tax burden on the community. So that will be, I was looking at it, I will be definitely working towards helping small businesses as well as the large scale businesses.
Jeffrey.
I also want to echo the sentiments about the Innovation Hub. I think that is a great project that is in this community, but also let's look at our community and at large. I mean, we have everything here. We have 169 bypass that runs right through here. We have rail lines that run right by. We've got a good mixture of industrial and residential that really kind of allows us to hedge our bets to keep our tax base low, which will bring in business.
Okay. We're going to move on to question number 5 right now, candidates. And Michael, you will start with this one. What is your opinion of tax increment financing?
I believe that tax increment financing, especially in the Canterbury project, was abused severely. I agreed to go along with it for the first part to incentivize, but after that, they should have been able to stand on their own legs. This deal of giving them tax incentives on that whole project, they're going to bring in so many more citizens to this town. We are going to have to fund the fire department and the police department to cover all those new housing, and they're not donating anything. If you understand tax increment financing, they get most of their tax dollars back to pay for the infrastructure that needed to be put in. In a normal situation, the developer has to put the infrastructure in. They got the city to pay for the infrastructure by using their tax dollars. That's ridiculous. I could see incentivizing because I went along with that to begin with, but I would have never gone along with it any further.
Ken.
Tax increment financing, as I see it, is a tool in the toolbox to potentially encourage companies to come to Shakopee. It's not the only tool in the toolbox. We have a lot of other things to offer. I would say probably it's preferable to use it only in situations where the value of the business is going to bring in, the value of the jobs, the value of the structure, the value it's going to bring in equals or exceeds the value that the city is offering them in TIF financing. I'd also say it's probably preferable to use TIF primarily in situations where it's a blighted part of town. I think that was really the original intention back in the 70s when tax increment financing was started. So a place that's not going to be redeveloped without getting some incentive to get the developer to come into that area. Thank you.
Carter.
TIFs are a pretty hot topic. I think it's important to keep in mind that currently there's only 5 TIFs the city has open right now. So I'm someone who would probably use it as a last resort. Obviously, Canterbury has been a little controversial, but we have to keep in mind that when a TIF is used, or at least the way I would use it, is if a project would be unable to even happen without it. We also have an environmental cleanup effort as using one of these TIFs as well. So as long as it's used extremely sparingly and we don't go the way as many other cities getting in trouble having way too many TIFs, it seems like a tool that's okay, but making sure that it's highly scrutinized when we do. Thank you.
Mustafa.
Oh, I will say growth should pay itself. So I would be definitely prioritizing the community need by looking for alternatives and other resources and make sure those needs get met first.
Okay. Jeffrey.
As a fiscal conservative, I'm generally opposed to TIFs because I believe that what we're building should be paying for itself. What we're building should carry its own weight and not rely upon the taxpayers to carry that weight for them.
Okay. Jay.
Thank you. We've used TIFs in the past, and some of them I probably wouldn't do again. We have very few. One of them is a TIF to clean up contaminated property. Another one that I'm really happy about is All Saints. They got a TIF to make 20% of their homes for low-income people. That was a requirement of that TIF. TIFs are used sparingly as a tool. You have to have the wages if you bring a new company into town. And you have to, the development could not happen but for the TIF. So it's got to be proven that it needs to be used. The Amazon TIF gets talked about a lot. That property went from like 150K taxes to well over $1 million now. That paid for all of 4th Avenue. Canterbury TIF, the county grabbed that to pay for County Road 83. So TIFs are used in great ways sometimes.
Okay. Ryan?
I think that TIF has a time and a place. When I've been out talking with people, I think we need to do, as a city, maybe a better job of educating people on what the TIF is used for and how it's paid back and how long it'll last. I would agree that maybe some of our projects wouldn't to happen without TIF money, but I would really have to be sold on it before I would just go ahead and say, let's do it. Like I had said before, we have great infrastructure, great city staff, great resources here in the city. I think most companies want to be here. That's why they're looking at it. And I just hate for TIF to be used as bait to get them in. It has to be extremely well managed by the city, staff, and council. I wouldn't say I'm dead set against it, but we don't have very many right now in the city, but it would be a hard sell for me to go for it.
Okay. Jesse?
Thank you. I feel TIF is very highly understood. I think there's a lot of misconception about what it does. I will say that it does not line the pockets of developers. They're not walking away with pockets of money. What you're doing is you're locking in the tax value of that undeveloped land or unusable land at that time. And then as the development occurs, as that tax increase occurs, we are refunding the infrastructure that taxpayers would have had to pay for regardless, refunding that to the developer because they're paying for it up front. Once that TIF is expired, then it hits the tax books, and then that's where you're going to also see lower taxes on the city as well. It is a tool in the toolbox, so I will say it's not the first one to go to. I will say if you go to the city website, you're going to see that there's very many steps to qualify for a TIF, so I do recommend you researching that independently as well.
Okay. Candidates, we've come to our last question, and we're going to start with Carter on this one. How do you believe the boundaries of social districts should be determined?
Social districts I believe what he's referring to is the new social district policy between downtown and Canterbury. So being able to decide what the boundaries of where free use of open container alcohol is being allowed. It seems like that needs to be generated by the community. In those areas, there needs to be forums created and able to hear what these communities want. I actually live right in one of these communities, and I'm sure the people in my townhome community would have a pretty hard time seeing people walking down our street with an open container. So being able to generate that conversation directly in the related and affected communities where those entertainment district is being created. Thank you.
Mustafa?
I'm a big fan of free marketing, so I think we should provide the fair opportunity to everyone else, not favoriting the one business over another one. If we're gonna do it, we should be very fair with all the business meetings. I heard we're trying to do in a Canterbury, but we don't want to do it a small downtown. So I don't think so. There's a problem if we're gonna allow it doing in a Canterbury, why we can't do it downtown. So there should be fair market, and we should be supporting it.
Jeffrey?
I'm kind of a common sense kind of a person, and I really don't think we need to throw more and more rules and laws upon our residents if they're responsible enough to, make a good decision. So.
Okay. Jay?
This one surprised me. I'm liaison to the chamber, and I knew nothing about this till it passed at the State House. Now, we have the right to create social areas. We haven't done that yet. And that would include the area around Canterbury, the entertainment district down there. And I think that may be a good spot for it. I'm not in full support. I do not support a social district downtown. Currently, we have a lot of folks living up in the apartments above there, and I just think that would create a lot of mess, cost to the city, and just not the downtown that I think we need. But it was a surprise, and I think it's something we can work with. It's going to be another tool for that area.
Ryan?
Yeah, for the social boundaries, I guess I would be open to it. I think it needs to be through a process or a permit or something along those lines, or maybe brought to the council for an event. I would say, yeah, I don't want a bunch of people just strolling through my neighborhood, drink any at all hours of the night, but I think every business deserves the opportunity to have it, not just a certain area of the city that can have it. If that's managed through city staff or through law enforcement coming up with some sort of program to get that, not super huge on more government oversight, but I don't think we can just have free range either.
Jesse.
Thank you. So first of all, I just want to say thank you to the state legislatures that helped get Shakopee a social district option. I think it's going to be very beneficial. The two places that social districting are going to be considered is going to be Canterbury, the entertainment district, and downtown Shakopee. One thing we need to do is work with our downtown businesses on how that's going to look, whether it's seasonal, what days, what times. You're not going to see people walking with open containers down your residential streets. It's going to be in contained areas. Yeah, we just got to work with businesses to see what they're willing to do and how they're going to help manage it with the city and go from there.
Michael.
The way I see it, in downtown, we have so many bars and restaurants that serve alcohol so close together that it's pretty tough to put a parameter down there. Anything standalone, I would say it has to be on their property only. Downtown, being that they're so close together, I would say the city block that they sit on is legal. Anything beyond that, you're going to get ticketed. Plain and simple.
Okay. And Ken.
From a social district standpoint, I'd really only be in favor of doing that under a couple conditions. That would be event related. I don't think it's right to have it open all the time. So event related, whether that's Canterbury or downtown, and then in a contained area. So a very specific area. There will be some events. There's events now we do downtown that are social district events. So from that standpoint, we're doing it. But again, I don't think it should be open, 365 days a year or anything like that. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your answers to the questions tonight. We're going to get to closing statements. If you have any questions for our candidates, we recommend that you reach out to their campaign office. You can find more information about the candidates at the Chamber's website, which is shakopee.org. So now we come to closing statements. Each candidate will now have 1 minute for their closing statement. And beforehand, we did the order, we did a drawing to select the order. Closing statements, we're going to start with you, Ken.
Getting drawn first. I don't know if I win or if I lost in that drawing, but I'm going first either way. And it's exciting for me to see eight men from Shakopee here who are excited or are willing to serve. But that said, vote for Ken Ludzak. I've had the privilege of living in Shakopee for 25 years. I promise, if elected to the city council, I will have the best interests of, I'll have an open mind on anything that comes my way, but I'll have the best interests of the taxpayers now and in the future in mind with how we're growing. And 25 years as a resident, I've been fortunate to live here. I'm looking forward to the opportunity to serve and give back. Ken Ludzak, you can get more information or contact me at kenludzakforshakopee.com. Thank you.
Jesse.
Thank you. I'm going to keep it very simple. I want to keep Shakopee moving forward. If you are on the same page, please vote for me, Jesse Lara. You can find out more information about me at jesseLaraMN.com, and please reach out with any questions. My phone number and email are listed online as well.
Okay. Mustafa.
I will start saying thank you, your team, and Shakopee and the Chamber of Commerce to put this all together to help the voters to know their candidate, where they stand. It's really such a great platform, and I also want to thank all of my co-members here stepping up and showing their compassion about the community. That's such a great gesture, like we all care about our community, so that makes me feel good. Definitely, when we hire someone for a job, we look like, oh, does this person meet the requirement? Does it have the qualification to do this job? So my message is just like, make sure before you vote, you go look. I'm not gonna say I'm the brightest in the room, but make sure you do your homework. You go look for it. You go find what aligns with you, who is gonna be listening to you, who's gonna be helping you with your problems, and when you need them, and they're gonna be there. So please make a good choice and make sure you go out vote. Change start with you. So, and also I believe in a ground level politics. It starts from the ground level, so we need to be involved. I know we're really involved in other
Time.
Sorry, thank you.
Mike?
Well, number one, I'm not doing this for the money. I'm planning on donating every dollar that I get from this job to a charity of my choosing. I'm dedicated to the job. When I was on the council before, I traveled to New Jersey to check out Amazon there before they came here. I also worked diligently on the inclusive playground, which is near and dear to my heart, to see these young kids that have special needs being able to be out there recreating with their friends and siblings. It's great. I've also worked with the food shelf locally, and I fundraised to get a pallet of cereal every week for the whole summer. And that took some doing. I picked it up, I delivered it, I touched base with the vendor. Everything was done by me, and it was a great experience. Another thing, I previously rode with Minneapolis PD, Shakopee PD, Scott County PD, so I have a great insight into the police departments. I actually rode with Minneapolis Homicide on an officer-involved shooting. So it's experience that most people don't even get. Many of our officers locally said.
Time.
Well,
Jay?
Thank you. My name is Jay Whiting, and I've been your city council member for almost 13 years now, and I'm asking for your vote on November 5th again. I want to thank the chamber and John for you hosting tonight, and I want to thank all you candidates for standing for election. It's not easy standing up here, so thank you. When I first became a council member, people wanted things like a second grocery store and a dog park. They wanted things like their sewers to work and better playgrounds and parks. They wanted a second sheet of ice. And, we did those things and many more. And that second sheet of ice is one of the only profitable ones in the state, by the way. Our downtown economy is flourishing, and, well, we can work on the parking. We can work on that. But, the plans for the Shakopee Innovation Hub are advancing, and funding is coming in from many sources, so it's not going to be all on us. The Riverbank Stabilization Project is scheduled for the next couple of years and is going to be great for our Shakopee, making it a destination. And historic tourism is a thing, and we're finally getting back to face the river. So thank you for your time. My website is jwhitingforcouncil.com. Thank you.
Jeffrey?
I'd like to also thank the Chamber of Commerce for putting this on, and also the fellow candidates. Once again, my name is Jeff Shafland. I am a 28-year resident of the city of Shakopee, have kids that went through school here. I'm going to be a voice of a veteran after serving in the Marine Corps. I'm a fiscal conservative, so I want to not spend if we don't have to. Shakopee is a great and diverse community, and I'd like to, let's keep it vibrant. Thank you.
Okay. Ryan?
I'll echo the words. I want to thank everyone for being here. Thanks to everyone that came in. Thanks to the chamber. Again, my name is Ryan Itrinus for City Council. I want to focus on just trying to keep our taxes as low as possible. If we don't have to spend, let's please not spend. It's actually because when we look at some of our property taxes, our home values go up. So even a 1 or 2% in our tax rate makes a significant difference. I'm here to support, the police and fire. I talk with a lot of those people on and off the job, and city employees, so I'm looking to support them as well, coming into the council, support the citizens, and do what we can to keep Shakopee great and make it greater.
Carter?
Well, I'm the last one, so no pressure. My name's Carter McNew. It's been a huge pleasure running. Thank you to the chamber. Thank you to my fellow candidates. The number one thing that I've heard from constituents is they want to be able to talk to someone at city council and just get the lowdown on what's actually happening. Cut through the political talk and have someone just tell them what's going on. And I think I can really bring that to Shakopee. Not only that, but bringing an engineering mindset like I talked about at the beginning of tonight, and really holding every single project that we do accountable, figuring out if we're in the red and if we're in the green, and being able to communicate with the constituency and say, hey, we really screwed up. we shouldn't have done this, or we should have done more research. Having an honest, transparent conversation with the constituency, and I hope to do that as your council member. My name's Carter McNew. Please vote for me, and if you want to contact me, go to electmcnew@gmail.com. It's me responding to your emails. I don't have a team. It's just me.
Thank you all. We really appreciate your time. As we close this forum tonight, please remember the views expressed tonight in the debate are those of the candidates, not of the Chamber and the Visitors Bureau. The Chamber sponsors this event as a service to the community and has gone to extraordinary lengths to make sure that we keep this very fair. So, we wanted to provide businesses and voters of Shakopee with the information you need so you can make an educated choice when you vote. Thank you to all of you for being here. Thank you to this wonderful high school for hosting this. And again, thank you to the candidates. It was nice to get to know you, and we appreciate your time.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Yep. Election Day, remember, is Tuesday, November 5th. It's going to be here before we know it. Please remember to vote. Thank you so much, and have a good night.
Mr. Gimpy.